It's 3:03. Public notice having been duly given and a quorum being present. The meeting is duly constituted, and the first item on the agenda is approval of previous meetings' agendas.
The current agenda.
Previous meetings minutes, I beg your pardon.
Agendas first.
Sorry. May I have a motion? In a second. Adds, deletes, subtracts.
New business, if I could do I, the Ocean View Road High View beautification update.
Anything else? Nope. Okay, all in favor?
Wait, I have J. I thought anything else was wrong.
Okay, Jay?
J, Hines Bay Facebook pages.
Yeah. Anything else? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. So the next item on the agenda, participation. Madame la Publique.
I am here to give you an update as the working group representative to the Wood Fibre LNG Working Group Committee. So just a short, quick update. I do have a 2-page report, and I only have asked for 2 copies. I don't know why, but it's on table, and I apologize for not getting it to you soon. It's just a summary of the activities that I have performed on behalf of the village at the Working Group Committee, which I took a separate path in my future high sound interactions with them as well.
We're going to get you baseball caps made. So we know which one.
Where it is right now, on Monday, the April 13th, there was a special working group committee for marine transportation, which was an additional working group meeting that was put on. It was a day-long meeting as a result of there being EAO, Environmental Assessment Office, hearing that there were a lot of outstanding questions around the marine transportation piece. This was not long, it was a few days after the oil spill in English Bay, so people were a little distracted. From that meeting, so there's been 2 rounds of comments, written comments that members of the Working Group Committee submitted with responses coming back. Those responses coming back from Wood Fibre are not public. At some point they will be made public. So the only information from the Working Group Committee that's made public are the actual minutes of the meetings. So those are getting posted online. I put links to where you can find the comments that I've made and the responses. The marine transportation meeting minutes will be posted eventually. I can't say when. But where it is right now is BCEAO has offered the working group members the opportunity now to write directly to them on any critical issues they feel are still outstanding. So there are still some reports to come before the end of April from Wood Fibre in regards to the hazards and malfunctions, which is there's still a lot of outstanding questions around the marine transportation piece. So so there's more information coming around that, as well as on other aspects of the project, such as the seawater cooling system. But for our participation, which was that LNG tankers transiting Howe Sound, I have reached out to Transport Canada on the phone following the presentation, and they offered to do that. And I guess I can just say that the concerns are still present, and the answers are still to be resolved to those questions. So the process is that by mid-May, the BCEAO will have drafted up its recommendations or conditions to the environmental assessment certificate. Those then go back to the working group committee. So we'll have an idea to see what kind of conditions they might put on this project to get its EA approval. Then the final recommendations go to Cabinet by mid-July, and then a decision would be expected by the BC Cabinet Ministers by mid-August. When it comes to the Canadian environmental assessment side of things, and approval by the Federal Minister of Environment and the federal Minister of Environment is really the one responsible for the concerns around marine transportation. That's unclear as to when that is going to be. This is a new process. We're only the second project to be in a substitute agreement, so I was told by the environmental assessment in BC that they are working it out. So as I said, there's still more questions. I wrote to the Canadian Environmental Assessment Office with questions specifically around the process of where and when we could expect Transport Canada to have comments to answer the concerns and questions about LNG tankers in close proximity to populations. So it's an ongoing, still work in progress. And I am very grateful that we have a voice at the table.
So am I. Questions? Fred?
You mentioned that the environmental assessment people are going to offer recommendations, but am I reading it wrong that it's almost like it's a foregone conclusion that it will be approved?
Most environmental assessments result in a conditional certificate being issued. So there's very few environmental, or very few reviews like this that end up in a recommendation that, no, this project. They can't, I don't even know that they can do that. I think that they can only say these would be the conditions under which that would have to be met in order for this project to go forward. And I mean, they've got a huge long list of other regulatory bodies to go through. But Cabinet doesn't necessarily have to approve it.
Cabinet as in federal cabinet?
Provincial.
Provincial.
And then the federal environment minister could also, because now there's legislated timelines. So if the proponent is not satisfied, a lot of the questions and concerns of the different agencies around the table, they could also be in a position where they have not, they're going to have to start over. So unless they answer the questions and the concerns, it could end up with a certificate recommendation that, all this extra information still needs to be provided. So I guess what I'm saying is that the yes and no.
Have another shot?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was speaking with Glenn Dennison on the weekend, and Marine Life Sanctuaries group is really quite concerned about the prop wash. I understand from those tankers it can be for a kilometre behind and disturbing everything on the seafloor and everything. And if they have to maneuver, the side thrusters and everything can do collateral damage either way, which they're quite concerned about the glass sponge and how fragile it is. So if they have to maneuver to get around another ship, the damage to the undersea stuff could be horrific. So how could you possibly make a recommendation? Do they say you can't use your props until you get...
Right, so that came up at the meeting. And the proponent is providing another further wake study, which is different than the propeller wash study. So the conversation was that the proponent provided their consultant, put their consultant up there, who basically said, based on the information they know, there would not be any concerns around the prop wash. The request made by Marine Life Sanctuaries that a better prop wash study be done doesn't seem to have resulted in the BCAO requiring them to make one, from what I've heard. But there's still responses pending on that, and I think it might come out in the term poll review as well as the further wake study. Maybe it's an outstanding, ongoing piece.
Thanks.
There's just so much content. It's so technical. And talking with Transport Canada, what really, really concerns me is that the nature of liquefied natural gas, according to certain studies in science, there's clearly a reason within certain distances to land and populations that worst case scenarios, very unlikely scenarios, but it is could be a catastrophic situation because they model it a rupture on land, and so they have the pool fire and the jet fire scenarios on land. In transit, because there's never been a rupture of an LNG tanker, they consider the risk to be nil.
Good math.
Also, what they're saying is that should there be a rupture, then the gas just dissipates and disappears. But we keep saying, what we're really asking them to do, or I am on behalf of the village, is to, if that's your position, point to the science and make a statement so that we can all we can all get on with our lives.
Anyone else? I have a question. So the EAO has some impact over marine transport?
Well,
They
the application includes a hazards and malfunctions assessment.
So they tell Transport Canada don't do this, or how can they impact the transit?
Well, the BCAO's responsibility is to ensure that all the questions are answered by the agencies that are assessing this. So Transport Canada sits at the table, so does Environment Canada, and this is the substituted agreement. But really the quality of these assessments is only as good as the people that show up.
Yeah.
That participate. So
Yeah.
it's scary.
I mean, I got the sense from the previous report that you provided that there were a lot of pretty substantive questions that deserved an answer. Do they insist on answers to all questions, even frivolous ones, or do they sift them and get rid of the frivolous ones before they...
What I was told is that they can see patterns, so when they get enough comments, they can see which ones are still sort of rising to the top and the ones that don't seem to get answered. And comments from people like Transport Canada, Environment Canada would probably weigh quite heavily on this if they feel like they're not getting correct answers. So I think I'm trusting in the
That does require some trust in the government. Yeah.
But it's, again, I fear the political pressure pushes this along a little too fast. This is an experiment on so many levels. It's the second, it's a work in progress on the substitution agreement and the robustness, the scrutiny that this project needs. It's the first time there'll be an LNG facility with 2 floating storage containers, terminals, and there's a list goes on. So it needs really good scrutiny. Yeah. Environment Canada has asked some really tough questions. When I look at those working group committee comments that they've made, they're very technical and they're very challenging. So let's see.
What's your sense? Will it happen?
My sense is that Transport Canada has a very tough, you're in a very tough place right now. And I think that they will get their approval with conditions, and this will go on for quite a long time, this process. And that the market will decide whether it goes ahead or not. Fortis is the other piece of this, of course, and they're coming back to council tonight. Or no, they're coming to the public today to propose 2 other alternatives to how they can get their boreholes done, because the first application is problematic. So they haven't even tested to see if this is feasible yet. They have to do that for BC Oil and Gas Commission. So they really need to get
the
this
pipeline
tested
under
done.
this now.
Pipeline. If there's no pipeline, there's no
Gas.
project.
Yeah.
But I would, one other thing on the marine transportation is, of course, at this meeting, we didn't get a chance to really ask questions about response, emergency response, which is a bit of a sensitive issue. A report by Transport Canada just came out, which on hazardous cargoes, and it has a big long list of things that the government needs to do to improve response time on noxious substances. So there's a lot, as I said, still to be understood and discussed.
Okay. All rather sobering. Thanks, Ruth.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move ahead to delegations. There being none, I assume. Mandy, is that correct?
Yep.
We'll move to adoption of the minutes of April 7th. I have several items, but we'll start with Ron.
Thank you, Mayor Burr. And I'll hand this to the recorder for item 5A and B. For A, actually for item B, the second sentence is struck. CIO Kuntz advised that CFO Rook has been in touch with Ms. Milky. That's not correct. So that would be struck, but on 5A, the second sentence, Councillor McLaughlin advised that he and CFO Rook are providing responses to Mrs. Wilkie as the substitute. So the second sentence of A goes and becomes the second sentence of B.
Okay, I had that one too. Do we talk through action items now?
No, that's unfinished. Usually it's business arising.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, thanks, Ron. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Fred? No?
I just had a question, 7A, it says council processed? What is that?
Yeah, I had the same. What's
Review?
processed and explain the details. What does that mean? Any idea? Council didn't explain anything.
No process still on.
Yeah,
Process the details of? I don't know. How do you
yeah,
want
maybe.
it,
I
how do you
could
want
live
it
with
to
that,
read?
yeah.
How do you want it to read?
I'm trying to remember what happened.
Pam discussed the 5-year plan.
Council said, thumbs up. Council, oh, then, okay, let's say council processed the details of the draft document. Got rid of and explained.
Okay.
You good? Okay. Thanks, Simon. Next.
Oh, okay. K, no, L. I wanted to add a point to say that I think it was agreed that we would post the village news every Monday in the, on the official notice boards.
The e-post at the post office, that's what it says.
Okay, but
The only official notice board is at the post office under our procedure bylaw.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not the e-post, it's the weekly village news, right?
Yeah,
but
the
just
same
the
thing.
e-post.
Oh, you want us to sit instead of e-post? Do you want us?
No, it's just the same thing. No, maybe change council discuss to council agreed or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think we agreed that staff would be doing that. I think what we talked about
No, so
is
I was
that
doing it.
we
Here they are,
would
in
do.
fact,
Okay.
actually. But
Who's doing it?
Me.
We will post at the post office and out front.
Yeah, so staff.
Oh, staff will do that?
Yeah.
Okay, even better.
Where's
Yes,
that?
I've been putting it up on the notice boards.
I will take your spot this week,
Okay?
and I'll circulate.
Please distribute the to be posted to Councillor McLaughlin. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd suggest with the other councillors, I see some hands up for the rotation.
I'm loving it.
I'm waiting.
How are they, sorry, how are they posted? You're just stabbed on with?
Stabbed on, yeah.
With
Yeah.
a bunch of, a packet of paper like that?
I see people looking at it at the bus all the time, and the same thing at the
You could have a
at the
nice
store.
little hanging folder or something.
Push it in hard.
Yeah. All right,
You'd be next.
yes.
I believe Councillor Hughes wants to go after that.
Yeah,
It's
I think
just
Councillor
we can
Hughes wanted
rotate
to do it 4
alphabetically.
times.
My colleague here, and Councillor
Thanks.
Breen.
Oh, he's not here.
Speaks up.
Okay, what else, Sam?
No, that's it.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. So Ron took care of my first one, you took care of my second one. That's correct there.
So Mayor Brew, you're going to bring these in ensuing meetings, or how are we going? Or
Well, Shauna just puts
Shauna
them in
can
my
put them in
box.
the
so-
tray.
okay,
yeah,
good.
just put-
Thank you. Thank you.
As a general thing, can we call out action items? So for example, under section F, Councillor Waterson discussed the idea, blah, 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 blah. I believe there was an action item there that we were going to take it to the regular meeting for endorsement. Or is that not an action item? Do we have to say that? I mean, it does come through in the next minutes, we see it there.
Yeah, it should have been noted there, so. that
Okay,
it was-
so
that it
is
was
that an
being-
action item or is it, it will happen or?
It should
what?
be an action. It should say council will refer.
I think so. So I had written it down as an action item. Same thing under G, sponsorship.
Okay.
That's an action item. So Councillor McLaughlin talked about it, and then his action items he'll be meeting.
I don't know if that's An action item is something directed by council, not necessarily something council brings forward that they're going to do.
Okay, so that raises the question, can we actually do action items in
Yeah,
a
you
strategy?
can. Yeah.
We can. Okay. Same thing for K. There was an action item, we're going to take it to the regular meeting.
Perfect, we'll add that there.
And section 9, in-camera resolution. Did we do an in-camera for
Nope.
this strategy meeting?
But if it was on the agenda, if it was neglected to take off the actual agenda, it should be in the flow.
Yeah, I didn't back
I'll
check
have
this
a
against the
look.
agenda.
Yeah, we'll have a look.
Yeah. Because if there was, there's those minutes.
Yeah, no, we didn't have one.
Yeah, okay, so I suspect that should go. That's all I have. Okay, so did I call for a motion? Perhaps not. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes and a second? All in favour? Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favour? Opposed? That carries. Business arising. Okay, back to the beginning. So, shall we just go through them action item by action item? So the first action item is staff delays with Mrs. Simons about e-post messaging.
And I believe that's happened, did that? So
3A.
the safety forum and messaging in the e-post, did that happen?
I'm sure it did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The next item I believe would be 7C. I did do that. Did we say it was a month's time?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So that is next. Can we just
Do it on the
tighten up on
first?
that in time for next council meeting? So that we can actually discuss.
Sorry, is that another amendment to the minutes?
No, that'll be an amendment to the.
Agenda.
Is it new business? No, it's a business arising. So, in this meeting, the action will be that action will come forward.
In a month's time from, yeah.
So let's say in time for the meeting package for next strategy meeting.
Okay.
So, do we want to just set a date for that so that everybody knows what it is?
That's the May 5th meeting. Yeah.
Fine. Okay, so the next strategy meeting is the 5th of May. So if that
Which is
could be,
full, because we have a presentation from the auditor. I'd be hesitant to put anything else on that agenda.
Can we start earlier?
okay, then we'll go straight to council meeting. We'll just bring it straight to the council meeting
Okay.
because it's going to be resolved there.
Okay,
So if we can have it done by the 29th of April, so that gives a day for processing, can go in the council package on the Thursday the 30th.
Okay, so this is an action item for council.
Yeah, action item for council. Speaking of which, I'll just interject it now. As I've seen them do it at Metro, is that there's sort of a supplement to the minutes. It's a table of action items. So these action items are, they're actually, I think they're called out under the individual sections, and then there's a table that says date brought forward, status. Do we need that, or do we just want to go through the minutes every time?
It's an added step for staff,
We have
but
a-
whatever council wants.
It's just part of the minutes.
Do you want to do a minute for discussion on this? This is kind of cumbersome doing this.
I agree.
And it's, we're doing more reporting and back and forthing, and this seems,
We would still be reviewing the
I
action
agree,
items, though.
but I'm going to guess that of any given 10 action items, 5 of them have been actioned.
Yeah, but people want to know that still.
So one's the communication piece, and the other one is what we're doing right now.
So I mean, the agenda item that says business arising from minutes, that's really action items.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay to go with them one by one. We just have to search out the word action, which is bolded, so it's pretty easy. I mean, that's as good as a table, I guess. And it's best to keep them in their section so that we can remind. Because I see Metro actually, I struggle to remember what section they were from. Okay, it's good like it is. Okay, so that's that action item. Action item under
Sorry,
D.
can we go back to that one? So by the 29th, we have to forward our,
Yeah, Fred's already
Ideas.
responded, Ron's responded, I've obviously responded.
to who? To
me.
who we forward to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll bring it forward for resolution next council meeting,
At the regular meeting.
at the regular meeting.
Perfect, okay.
I will do that after my discussion with Norma, which was scheduled for today, but was put off because of Mom's not well. The next action item under E, I've done that. I've had responses back from Ron, and Ron only. That was due today.
No, last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, thank you. So I will be bringing that forward for resolution in the next council meeting. The action items that are now being put into F and G are being taken care of. Action item under H.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I've been
Okay.
away, so.
Okay, so that's carried over. Now, how do we handle carried over action items? Is that unfinished business?
Yeah, we can put it on the unfinished business list.
Yeah, okay, so do we have to resolve that or anything? No, so that moves to the unfinished business. Good. That's all I had. Good to go? Okay, so moving on to unfinished business, item 7. Community Centre Renewal Cost Report. On the
Can we
table.
talk about that?
Pam, are you going to talk to this?
Pam and Haley?
So basically, it's just a brief on-table report to explain the cost to date for the community centre project from start to finish. I broke it down for the top half here is to do with the 2014 5-year plan. So the total that was put in the budget for that was 950,000, of which 88,000 was moved to this 5-year plan, the 2015. So we're looking like at the moment it's going to be pretty close, about 942 all told. And then underneath that is the total project, so from when it started in 2011.
What are those additional costs? Oh, here they're broken down here, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so the total project, if you take it from December 2011, which is when it first began, it's $1,129,572.
Okay, so here are the famous design fees, 190,000. Construction, this is Kindred and project management, mostly, right?
Yeah, and the roof and the seismic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other? What's
Other project
other is
management,
project
moving
management.
expenses, that kind of thing.
Okay. So it's pretty much, I'm seeing here, the budget was 950 and it's going to come in at 1129.
No, so if you look at the top bit, the budget for 950 is this top portion, the 950 from the 5-year plan, and we're going to come in at 941, 942.
It's just the portion that was addressed in the 2014 to the 2018 5-year financial plan. So there was $950,000 of work remaining, and during that time period we spent $941. But the project actually started before the current 5-year plan, so...
Oh, so this is a non-budgeted item, the 1129.
No, that's just
Well,
what
no.
the total cost was. The other part was budgeted in a previous 5-year plan.
So all of these numbers have been budgeted
Yes.
At different times.
At
at different
times,
times.
yeah. But the most current budget is the 950, which was for the bulk of the project, and currently we're coming in at about 942. But we do have an estimate for the fire alarm in there, and I think we've captured everything. There might be just a few smaller, minor things still come through, but
Okay. So the breakdown of that the bottom line number 1129 is given here.
Yeah, I also just included the funding, so if you look at the little bit above that, it's got the funding that was provided by the WEDC grant, it was 163,877. The community rec grant was 440,343, and so the Village of Lions Bay paid for 525, and that would have come from the
Okay, I seem to remember the provincial number being significantly lower than that, but
No, it was always 440, and we
440.
received that in March 2012.
Actually, it was the federal portion that was up to 250,
Yeah, and then it got reduced.
and we didn't qualify at the end for the balance of the 250 because of the categories that were left.
okay.
I think Mayor Burr on this, prior to election, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I was thinking in terms of what the taxpayers were paying, and from memory, it was either 42 or 43 cents on the dollar. Just doing my quick math, it's 46 and a half. So allowing the 5 months, I know we've had a couple of extra things and overruns and stuff like that. It seems, without investigating the categories, it's in the number.
The walkway is probably one of the additions to that, because the walkway may be done after your calculation, and that's not the
Yep. My
Yep.
numbers were
Actually, I forgot to add,
5 months
sorry,
old.
The age-friendly grant.
I was going to say, so part of this,
Yeah,
the walkway is in the 1129, but there's also the age-friendly. How much was that again?
it's
Well,
8.
8 went towards the walkway.
8,000.
So I'll add
even.
that to the section here for the.
Absolutely, we need to show every penny that was not paid for by taxpayers.
Yeah, so that's another 8.
Yeah, and so that then just decreases the reserve draw. Okay.
And the fire alarm, the 15,000 we put in there as a placeholder, it's looking from the initial quotes that we're getting is generous, so we'll see, likely to save some money there once all said and done.
The fire alarm that is in there now, that's an old fire alarm. That's the original fire alarm.
It's not the original, it was upgraded in 20, I think either 2012 or 2013.
But
it
not
was
as part
done
of the construction.
Yeah,
Yeah, not as part of the
no,
construction.
prior to the construction, it was done as a temporary measure until the renovation project was done. So there's just a few things they have to add to it.
Okay, well, I'm sure you're in touch with
it.
it.
Got 15,000.
I happened to be signing checks in there when they were doing their thing, and the guy was raving and tearing his hair out because apparently you're supposed to have resistors at the end of the run, and in our case, the resistors were all there.
And that's what's being fixed.
So that's
Yeah.
does mean that they're going to have to cut into the drywall, apparently. But okay, so if we think 15,000 is the right number, that's fine. Okay.
And how about the costs associated with moving the programs that we're running here to the school? Is
That would all be
would-
included in the other. So the section here at the bottom has got the moving expenses for moving the office, but also any additional costs.
Like running activities
Yeah.
and stuff? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Are we accounting for the monies that we had to pay the school district to use the hall?
Yes.
They gave us the deal of deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
know it's
the
normal.
fact is, if they said, they said this might cost $1,000, to be stunned if we got a bill for $125.
Yeah.
It was very generous.
Yeah, I just don't want people to be able to pick any holes in this thing when we present it. In
Well,
fact,
yes, if you want any more information added to it, please ask them.
the more detail the better, because then people don't say, hey, what about the can of paint?
And I think would be under construction.
Yeah, and the point is, the more detail the better on this thing, because this is going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb by
Yeah,
certain...
I mean, I was thinking I could break it down by year, which might give a little bit more of a
That would be good.
any costs from 2011 and 2012, that those are pre-construction costs.
That'd be excellent, because that'd really give people the understanding that none of those pre-costs. The universe has been drawn around what's being said, the community centre renewal project. I think that would be great to break it down by year.
We
Well, this is
also-
pretty good, right?
Mhm.
We did, I thought we did pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure why I put that, maybe I said that. Strike my
You
comment.
said it in
I
your
should
mind.
not strike it. We could also, the other thing that would go with this that does give more details, I'm not sure if these are public, are the grant reports themselves, Mandy, like the actual reporting to VDC and the reporting to the province.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't, I'll look at them again, make sure
Yeah.
there's not, I don't think there's anything sensitive in any of them, so I don't see why those couldn't form a part of the final package or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the pre-2014-15 costs are $187,719, $188,000.
Correct.
That should probably be explained.
Yeah, and some of that was covered by the grant, so quite a lot of that will have been covered by the
Oh,
grant.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Although we still did draw on our reserves, okay, minus the $8,000, in round numbers, $520,000.
Yeah.
That's $500,000.
Cheers.
Well, one point I think would be significant in the report was that November of 2013 was a mile marker in the whole project where it was a radical change in the way we're going. So the numbers of the pre-construction have relevance in that it was for something that we didn't end up doing.
It was mostly design costs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All good? That's great. That was far less painless than I was expecting. Thanks, guys. Moving on. Trail cleanup and volunteer day. Is this you, Helen?
Yeah, it was just kind of a follow-up. to see what's happening with that. Is it, because I read somewhere that the date is now confirmed for June 20th. Is that the case?
That's when John Dudley said they would do their usual annual cleanup, and that we could promote that as a community event because they're already scheduled to do it then.
So what sort of involvement will the municipality have in terms of staging a chipper, trucks, pickup later, before?
If council directs that is to happen, then it will. Initially, it was touted as a get out and help tidy up the trails and then come and have some burgers on the grill. It's a Saturday. We don't have overtime budget for that unless council wants to authorize it. If you want public works staff around on a Saturday, if you want staff around on a Saturday, it's a council decision.
This would be part of the new business, but in my pursuit of data for the Ocean View Road High View, this is for the people that are forming this, two things. One, in terms of private contractors, two recognized firms have come forward, and in terms of doing our math, I don't think, I'm not trying to get into a union situation here, but I understood from, let's call it contractor A, we could get 3 6'2" people with chainsaws and arborist qualifications, plus a giant cherry picker, plus big honking chipper for $2.60 an hour plus taxes. Works manager Hoagland advises she has a list of that rate too if she was going to outsource. Another contractor's come forward at approximately 50% of that number for one less person. So as the forming for this goes, depending on where the chipper is and with my relationship with, the roads people, I mean, if we're tossing stuff down, I'm just speculating here. There's a lot of things, I don't know the work that needs being done, but it seems there might, a budget for a private might be more appropriate than 3 plus potentially a supervisor plus our equipment.
Plus our small little chipper that might have
Well,
3
and
inch branch.
when I pointed to a tree, when I talked to both contractor A and B, it was an 8 or 9 inch diameter, and I said, I'd like the firewood, and they said, we'd rather throw it in the chipper.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I've seen the honking chipper, as you call
Yeah.
it. Man alive, that thing can eat a
That's right.
14-inch tree. Yeah.
So there's opportunities to I'll share the information with whoever the forming group is in this.
I think there needs to be a plan on this one because, there's an infinite amount of work to be done. If we want to combine this with a sort of a wildfire prevention campaign, which I think we do, I just shake my head when I walk down the Centennial. And, we are talking about the village-owned trail areas at the lower end of the village because that's where the fire is going to come from. We're not going to be able to go and clean up every trail up Trudy's way, but that's not even in the village limits. I think we need a bigger plan, which means that you, and I suppose Fred, should talk to John and come up with a plan. And what sort of volume of work are we talking about? How much chipping? How many meters of trail are we going to clean up? How many people do we need? What's the level of work? When I look at the deadfall on the Centennial, there's big trees that are going to need block and tackle to get out of there, and then dragged somewhere to where a chipper can get at them.
So are we just focusing on Centennial? Because there was discussion that it would be sort of various trails as well.
My understanding is that the Trailblazers do their annual cleanup. I don't know what that entails. I'm meeting with John Dudley Friday morning in June. And so the discussion on this table, as I recall it, was that we were going to try and tack on a volunteer day with that and get people involved in helping.
Yeah, I mean, the typical Trailblazers cleanup is to walk around with secateurs and cut back brambles. That's...
So I guess for staff's purposes in executing this properly, we need to know what council's direction is on this.
Well, I think we're discussing that now. So, again, on the Centennial, but all trails are like this. Trudy's is probably more so. With the dry weather we've had the last week, all of the things that are held in by stake rebar and a log, the steps, they've all collapsed. Centennial is about 10 steps collapsed in the last week. And this is dry.
And volunteers will be able to fix it?
Yeah, volunteers put it up. There's a lot of work to be done. You know, all the rebar needs to be beat down again because it's moved, and people are stepping on it. Somebody's gone around there with tied survey tape onto it now for safety. But
I'm going to talk about my Ocean View Road, which is far less than what this is, but the planning process is so important or you're destined to failure. In my view, there won't be enough people, there won't be the assets there to do it.
yeah.
There'll be confusion, there'll be lots of dogs and little kids, and it...
Yeah, this is not a party. You don't want dogs and kids. You know, there's going to be, you know, if people have face shields and hard hats, they should be wearing them. There's going to be branches falling
Well,
around.
or go to planning, you need to get the stuff out, or do the dogs and kids at a different section or something like that. It's a long trail and it's going to be messy.
And that's just one of them. There's the Pride Trail, which is the one down from the parking lot. There's the Kelvin Grove Trail, which is still closed, probably closed forever.
I don't think I know enough to brief John. I don't even know, you know, I don't know anything about.
He's very familiar with the needs. I think you just start this conversation
So should
along.
we ask him what
I
he
would
thinks?
ask what his annual cleanup looks like and
Yeah.
maybe reiterate some of what the mayor has said and then take the conversation from there.
And I like the idea of getting a contractor, if that's okay with the union.
Yeah, there's a couple things at play here. We'd have to make sure it's okay with the union. The other thing is that we can authorize an overtime budget, but we can't require our staff to work overtime on a Saturday in June. So, you know,
I'd rather get people who are incentivized by the profit motive. And frankly, our equipment, I don't think is up to the task. If it's doing what I think.
Well, council has a very tiny budget within the odds and ends throughout the year. If council was to make a decision to allocate X amount of dollars, it seems to me a very fruitful and quick result.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to tell us, Manny, where this budget might come from, because my thinking is that this is as much a fire mitigation project as a beautification project.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's a decent sized project, and so it's a budget add-on. So either you fund that from reserves or you find it from...
So what do we have in there for fire prevention right now on trail maintenance?
I can't answer that. I don't have the budget sitting in front of me, so...
There's nothing in the budget that we don't have anything for trail maintenance.
And fire prevention? Nothing at all.
It wasn't put in the budget.
Where did 20 grand seems to be,
We have an
did that die on
emergency
the
plan.
table?
We had $20,000 for an emergency plan. There is a fire contingency within that. If we got to the wildfire thing, that's why we asked for 20. If we had to update our plan, we could potentially take some out of there, but I'd be hesitant to take too much because our emergency plan is required
Yeah, the plan is 20,000.
under
right?
legislation. I don't think it, I'm hoping it's not going to be the full 20, but I don't know that for sure.
Well, I think we need to scope this thing, understand just how much we want to bite off, try and understand what it will cost.
Just quick math here. If contractor, let's call it B, was in at the number I gave, at a number I would see 2 or 3 people, chipper, all the rest of that for just under $1,000. Not promoting any future business, but it was pretty clear when I spoke to the contractor that if I was going to do the first arrangements for the first 50 houses and there was an opportunity for an introduction to the works manager, they were quite keen to work on Saturdays and were quite willing to sharpen their pencil on the rate. So if we use $1,000 for the day as a kind of a number, it's not a, to throw 1,000 around only for a nickel for a minute, it's not the biggest number. And you get a lot of bang for that.
Yeah. It's
I'd
also,
be comfortable with that under emergency planning. $1,000 is doable, I think.
yeah, well, I mean, that's for the chipping part. There may be supplies needed for the trail. Why don't you and I meet with John and try and scope the project? Yeah, I think we can get the chipping crew, let's call them that, for $1,000 easy. There may be more, you know.
And fallers.
I don't know how many trees, well, there are certainly dead trees that are now leaning against other trees. We certainly need to drop them. And drop them in a scientific way so they're lying flat on the ground rather than up in the air like they are now, waiting for a fire to come underneath them.
Either of these two groups are going to be involved in Ocean View on May 23rd. So
Make a note of that.
they will be getting their test by fire then.
Don't use that word.
Sorry, that is a poor choice of phrase. So I think that that's probably, I'd be dropping the seeds between now and then to make sure that, I mean, it's a Saturday as well, so the overtime is not an issue for them.
Yeah.
And there we go, let's just leave it at that. And
Leave it at that. So you and I will meet with John. Let's
So
go for the budget.
are we meeting with John to discuss that
We're
on
meeting-
Friday, or is it a different thing?
On Friday,
Yeah.
we're talking about something else. I just thought we could tack this on, but he only has about 20 minutes, which is fine for what we were originally
It doesn't
talking about.
overlap at all?
No.
Okay.
I think this, again, in the planning process, there's the feeding of the volunteer crew as well too,
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
which
There's
is a
materials.
whole different thing.
It's a different budget too.
And it's kind of number dependent and
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be bring your own. What we could do is have the fire department correctly asked will volunteer their grill, their mega grill, it's the size of this table, bigger, right?
We probably could get sponsors with regards to maybe at least a hot dog or something like that.
We're not I'm just worried about the official budget we use to pay for
eating.
a non-food safe, potentially beer involved. I'd say bring your own.
I think we need to
The
do some
official
planning.
thing's over, the grill's available.
And if it's in this building, it needs to be food safe.
Yeah, no, I think it would be on the field,
Okay.
I think, or at the beach.
Right. Planning.
Yeah, we need a plan. Should you not be involved in that?
Yeah, I offered to meet with John with Helen, but it sounds like you prefer to have that conversation, so
Mm,
I'm
no, I
amenable
prefer
to that.
not to,
if,
actually.
Okay.
And I don't
Okay, why don't we all
know
three do
very
it?
much about it, so.
I just want to get the scope so we
Yeah.
can understand the budget requirements, time requirements, how many people. You know, it's going to be a bust, from what I'm conceiving. It's going to be a bust with less than 50 people. We're talking about big trees that are going to need to move. Do we own block and tackle? I don't know. Any of this stuff.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
well, so does Carl come to our Friday meeting, or do we set up a separate meeting?
John only has 20 minutes on Friday, so I would say no.
This is a longer
We'll
conversation.
set up a
20
different
minutes.
meeting. I'll set it up for next week.
Okay.
I see John at 6:30 most mornings for tennis. Well, when I say me, I actually mean my spouse. But I'll follow up on that, and then we three meet with John. I Love Lions Bay photo competition update.
Okay, the update is that I've put out a teaser ad for this competition, but now I need to find someone to help me actually work through how to put together an official competition. So I'm hoping to send out Friday's e-post and see if anyone has done competitions before and they can, guide me. So far, yeah, this is a little teaser that I put out, and the teenagers in the village seem really excited about the $200 prize. That's the only thing that really gets them going. So really, the next step is to
Oh, that's great.
prepare the actual competition, the rules and regulation, because I don't know how to do that. Would you know anyone?
That understanding when we did this was very little staff time, so
Yeah,
we can
no,
put
it
out in the
doesn't-
e-post
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
it doesn't require staff time.
Okay.
We've actually done 2 competitions for banners in previous years, you know the banners? And
Yeah.
It was done by the Arts Council.
So I was going to actually,
Yeah.
I thought of that as well. I was going to ask them to.
And they set it up and it was run through the village and we did the award for it, but they actually sent it, so they copied that at the time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I actually was thinking of asking her as well. And really, that's once we get that done, then I can work on the official poster with all the information and have a launch date of May 1st. And
How long's the competition?
for a month, we're hoping to end it with, during the Arts Council Garden,
Art in the Garden.
Art in the Garden, and then having a little exhibit as part of Art in the Garden, so I'm waiting for you to confirm that as well, if that's a goal.
When does the annual report go to bed?
We have to have it out to the public by June 30th.
Okay, so we'll have some photos. by
Yeah.
then.
We will just have some photos, yeah.
Mhm.
You
Well,
are
they'll,
getting,
they'll be trickling they'll be trickling the photos in before then, and I would write that so all the photos become the property of the village,
yeah.
even
That's
those that
great.
don't.
And we need releases for people in
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I need to
Unless it's in a
get
public
that
setting,
worded.
Yes, unless it's in a public setting.
you don't need a release.
No.
But
No,
they
in
still
a
have
public
to,
setting, so they take pictures.
So if I took a picture of your backyard and you're sitting in it, I have to get your permission to use that. If I have a picture of you sitting at Lions Bay Beach Park, I don't need your permission.
Oh, I didn't know that.
so yeah, they need to sign a release under those conditions, and also they need to sign
Yeah,
perpetual copyright worldwide, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, so I need all those disclaimers.
Good?
Good.
Okay, thanks. That's it?
Yeah.
Council priority list we've discussed. The deadline has passed. I
Oh.
will package it up for...
Really?
Oh,
Can I give it, I thought, because I had so many points, I thought we were gonna actually discuss it. No?
we can discuss it.
Or,
I haven't got anything. Did anybody else bring anything for discussion? Because it was due... I can't actually remember what... It's on here because it was unfinished business from last time. We can talk about it separately.
okay.
The idea is that I will now produce the consensus and circulate it in case I've made any egregious errors, and then we'll adopt it next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously I want your input.
Yeah, I thought we were going to review it.
Let's,
Okay.
to avoid people staring at the ceiling, let's... let's move on. You and I will sit around...
Mayor Burr, you said that with your mouth, not your mind.
Not this. Storage at the village hall.
Yeah, so we have to move forward on that. I was wondering, people have been asking when the
So the-
storage will
Actually,
be up.
The task
It's at the
was-
back now.
But the task was given at the last meeting, and then I went on vacation.
Okay.
So no, we've not moved forward on
How
that.
did these things actually get on here? Are they action items from the...
Yeah,
from the-
it's-
No, they-
discussion.
Were they asked for?
I asked
This is unfinished business.
Yeah, no,
Because
it's
we
legit.
discussed-
Oh,
it
because
at
it
the
was
last-
previously... Okay, got you.
Except that the shed's here now, it's at the back.
Does it look good?
It's pretty small, looks at the size of one of these tables.
What do you mean it's at the back? It's up already?
No, it's in the
It's
box.
in the box.
Okay,
Yeah, it
so-
hasn't been put up together. I haven't
Let's go on a council tour.
moved on that
Fact
at all.
finding.
Yeah.
No,
Come on, let's go.
it'll be big, right? As big as the old
Well,
ones?
10 by
the
10.
box is, truly, the box is the size of this table. But it's 12 or 14 by 10.
I think it's 10 by 12, 10 by
It's
10.
huge. I mean, I'm looking out there, this is a tough one to
Right,
work.
no,
Yeah.
people were just asking, when will it be ready? I said, oh, I don't know.
A CSR has been sent to Public Works, so I don't know where it's fitting into their schedule. I know they're ahead of schedule on flushing, so.
Okay.
Lions Bay Historical Society Memorial Garden.
I think this was a follow-up also from unfinished business, and it was regarding the email that Mandy sent after our meeting, the one you said that something about the historical society was going to put forward a proposal.
Yep.
So I think would the action item be someone to take this on? And
My understanding is it was left with, if when they had something, they
I
would
think
bring it forward.
It's still with the Historical Society.
Yeah.
should I contact them and ask them?
It's your portfolio, yeah?
Is it? Okay.
I'd say so.
All right, okay, I'll do that, and see if they have any more, if they're gonna come forward with a proposal or not. Yes?
Okay, begging your indulgence, we'll just go back up to the trail cleanup and volunteer day, because this is a volunteer item. You know that I put out a call for donations for maintenance on the school field. Raised about $1,200 so far. The contractor is coming on Thursday. Apparently the thought of 50 volunteers spreading topsoil, which is being donated by the school district, 20 tons worth, horrified them. So they're actually going to spread it on Friday using their machines. I think this is what a guilt trip is. It's called a guilt trip.
The school district is going to?
Yeah, the
Oh,
school
wow.
district. It's unprecedented, unheard of. So they're bringing their drop spreader and a bobcat, and we'll spread the stuff on Friday. I don't think we'll cancel the barbecue on Saturday, though.
Because we already sent out notice.
No. So I'm going to have to contact anybody who's likely to turn up, as well as in Friday's e-post, say the deal's off because it's been done. But thank you for your anticipation. Please be aware of
I'd like
Volunteer
to see
Day.
you at this event.
See you at Volunteer Day on when again? Please remind me. June 20th.
June 20th.
Bring all your stuff
with your
in.
boots and hard
Yeah.
hats.
Just keep it all dry because we're going to need it.
But what if people just show up? So are we still having the barbecue?
No, I'm not going to have a barbecue. It doesn't make any sense.
Surely you can't. You won't know everyone that's coming up. What if people come with their hot dogs?
I'm just going to call the usual suspects. No, we're going to we have to market it.
We've already marketed.
We're going to have to unmarket it.
That's,
Another on marketing.
are you thinking of Mayor Bird there with his hibachi and his cooler? With the people at Dory?
Yeah, bring my hot dogs.
Maybe they can.
I'm not
come
going to turn down the school
No,
district.
but maybe they can come and do something else, like, I don't know, clean it.
Don't have time to organize it.
Oh, it's already being organized, no?
No, because the whole deal was the.
All right, so we have to
Uninvite.
Yeah, we have to uninvite them. So that was just.
Will you send Shauna something for the e-post?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. 8A, this is mine signage at the Lions Bay Beach Septic System. If you refer to page 7, this was, I wouldn't call it necessarily a report, but it gives you some color on what it was that I was proposing that we were going to just take this straight to the meeting, but Shauna correctly pointed out it needs to come here first. So the signage is, if you recall, the Infrastructure Committee made some preliminary recommendations early last year, one of which was to utilize the fact that we were spending, at the time, $50,000, now $35,000 on the beach septic system to use it as a model installation. It drafted, when I say it, I mean I, as the member of the IC at the time, drafted some very draft preliminary signage. I asked Nikki what's happening about it. She says she will do it if council so directs.
Yeah, and I seem to recall that the updated, remember we broke down the Infrastructure Committee's preliminary recommendation into the different tables and stuff, and I can't remember where that fell, but I don't, it doesn't jump out as something that was endorsed, I just can't remember why.
Yeah, so whether it was endorsed by the IC or not, it was a recommendation put forward by the IC at some point. The thing that came through to council this year, it was in the section that says under work.
Under work.
Already in hand or in play or something like that. I looked it up. So at Nikki's request, we need to direct that this piece of the beach septic installation gets done. The signage, which probably I should have brought to show you, it'll be a sign about yay big with sort of user-friendly text, a diagram of what a septic system looks like, and sort of some FAQ section that will say, do I need to put additives in, do I, all this stuff. Why? Because many people are not aware that the septic system is 50 years old and failing. They're also not aware of the new regulations. So the whole idea was to utilize this as a model installation. That's all I have to say to it.
Well, if you've got the verbiage and everything all outlined, is it not just a matter of sending it off to the printers and pounding it into the ground? Is there anything more needing doing?
Well, as I say, I'd say the verbiage is probably just north of 50% done. I think staff need to have a crack at it. Maybe even the IC needs to have another look at it. The verbiage was done a year ago. I don't even actually know because, as you know, the IC never got to see the request for proposal, let alone the plans. I don't even know what's actually been put in there. I don't even know what kind of system it is. So I don't want to go off too generically, and I don't want to say that this is an XYZ system when it's in fact not. So it needs a bit of review. It's now out of the IC's hand. The recommendation has come and gone. It's been endorsed by council, such as it was. It's now up to council to say whether we want to put a sign up there.
And if we do, go back to the IC to finish your working?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. for final say-so on the wording? Yeah, probably. So how does this get handled now, Maddie? Do we say through consensus this goes forward to the meeting, or do we say, do we bring
Yeah,
it
that
up
a
regardless?
resolution will be brought forward at the.
Okay, so shall we resolve this?
You can't resolve it.
No, shall we
You'll
resolve this at
recommend?
the meeting?
Yeah, you'll recommend that this is brought forward to the regular meeting for resolution? Is that
Okay,
what you're
fine.
proposing?
Yeah.
Just not critical of the idea, but, and trustee Mayor Byrne, Councillor Bain, I don't have the love of septic systems that both of you exhibit. So reading a sign, while interesting the first time, might not be so stimulating for me in ensuing periods. So my question is this something that we really want at the beach park? And again, all respect to all the work done and all the rest of that stuff, but whether it's pounded to the building or into the ground, it's in.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of public parks have interpretive signage, be aware that this rock used to be under a glacier, or this tree
Stuff.
is home to an eagle. This is this kind of thing.
Okay.
It's not per bylaw 573, this was installed at a cost of $379.
Again, I'm fine with it, but I would take a person who has a neutral view. Let's pick Councillor Watterson as an example and say, Councillor Watterson, is this something you'd like to see at the beach in perpetuity?
I was just thinking, who's gonna read this? And,
There's people out there who read any signs.
But if we're gonna put up signs,
Yeah,
spend money on
and then
signs.
speed.
How much is this budgeted somewhere?
Yeah, it was in the septic system budget.
Oh, okay.
That was approved, that was recommended by the IC last council and approved by last council.
No. Sorry, my recollection is the infrastructure committee's recommendations of last year were received by that council, but nothing was resolved to move forward.
My understanding was in the budget.
That's,
Huh?
no.
Well, we're talking about a $200 sign. I'll pay for it. Okay, it's in the budget.
But there's a difference between that, though, and that it was something that was in the budget. So I just want to be clear about where this fell and how it came forward. We need to pull out the document, the initial document, and the more recent document with the tables in it, and find out where this fell. And I'll bring that forward tonight when we bring forward the resolution, just so
Yeah, but I'm
council.
suggesting this is now beyond the IC recommendation or not. This is now council deciding whether we want to sign for our $35,000 septic system,
Okay.
which is really cheap, by the way. I sent text to Nikki in January, but she's got other things to do. So it's a valid point. Where does the sign go? I don't know. Maybe on the side of the building. Maybe on a post. It's going to be nice, it's not going to be a sort of
I wasn't suggesting otherwise.
it is forbidden to throw stones at the sign, type of sign.
If we do something for the beach washroom and it is on the side, I guess the sign should be of a portable enough nature that it can be.
It may even form part of the beach washroom,
Yeah.
dedicated in 2015.
I just want to clarify the cost of the septic was not 35,000, it was very close to the 50,000 that was in the budget. My recollection is 49,000 something. I can go and find out, but I don't think it's
That's distinctly not what I had understood. It was 35 for the septic and 15 was left over for the beach washroom.
It's my understanding as well.
Thank you.
Well, if it's 50, it's even more reason to put a sign up.
Yes.
Now I'm really proud of that investment.
$50,000 sign.
Anything that costs 50 should have a sign.
All right. I'm done on signage.
Okay, we'll move on. Logs at Lions Bay Beach and Calvin Grove Beach. Nikki wanted a council directive to move the logs. There is budget to do that. I didn't get an understanding from how many logs was in the budget. I think it was however many it took, whatever came up in the winter. So the only variant here now is previously what they did with the logs was they towed them to the north side of Boyer and let them go. Yes, which explains why there's so many logs on the north side of Boyer in the early part of summer. So I see that as being fairly irresponsible of Lions Bay to endorse. So I've now asked that not only do we tow the logs away, we tow them to a responsible place, on the prevailing wind on a spring tide, so that when they get let go, they go on a beach north of us.
I have just one comment on that, and then the budget for this relates only to Lions Bay Beach, not to
And that was the
Kelvin
other
Grove.
thing, thanks. Yeah, and then Calvin Grove. Now, I don't know if we want to remove any logs at Calvin Grove Beach. There is one that I've never liked. It's teetering and the kids play on it. It's a matter of time before it rolls off and kills somebody. But maybe that one just needs to be cut so it falls onto the beach. I don't know. So the issue is, the only real issue is, do we want to stand still for the additional budget, which is going to be tens to hundreds of dollars, to tow them somewhere else? Seems like. And the sooner we do it, the better, of course, because A, the logs that I've marked, the paint will come off soon, and B, people are using the beach. And C, the beach is full of logs. There's nowhere to sit. And D, it has to be done before the sand is dumped on the beach.
Wait for me to run down and back.
No, we were talking about
No,
other
we did
things.
not.
You missed the good part.
It was $49,000.
Okay, that's interesting.
Give or take a dollar.
I would bet $10 it was 36.
I would have bet money too. I don't know how that
So does it
supposition
get
came
from
up.
there to there? Well, I guess it's within the 50, we wouldn't know.
I always understood there was 15 left over to pay for the
I
beach
thought
wash.
so too, because we're going to build a building of it.
A few weeks ago, and address that, and then we sent a response that was the 49,000.
I missed that. I didn't pick that up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So no beach washroom. Didn't
No.
we approve that in the budget?
Well, it
There was
was,
15 left over.
well, I think actually the IC was wise enough to figure that the digging was going to cost more than estimated, than council estimated and the then works manager estimated. So in fact, IC was right.
Well, that's actually correct. Yeah, the IC thought the septic would be 50.
Yeah.
But then we were told it came in at 35, and we said, great, 15 left over for the
Well,
washroom.
apparently we
Okay,
were wrong
we're
there,
not.
Vern, but that's fine. It's
Okay.
water under the bridge.
Okay, back to the logs.
We can dedicate it to the IC committee.
What?
The
Septic system?
Yeah, the Lions Bay Beach septic
No, I
system.
think we dedicated to
It's a
it.
good PR.
So- Remember, so on the logs, you're looking that they are taken away somewhere else.
From both beaches.
Well, so there's two parts to the question. Do we care about Calvin Grove? I'd suggest we do. I think, I don't know, they haven't expressed frustration being looked at as the country cousins, nor as, well, Brunswick has, to me anyway. They're tired of being ignored. But I don't know if you looked at Brunswick Beach, it's all log right now. It would take weeks to clear that. And I don't know, they don't anticipate sitting there playing in the sand. It's a log beach. Whereas Lions Bay Beach is most certainly supposed to be a sort of, a sand beach for families. So the question is, do we want to move logs from Calvin Grove, and do we want to tow them away? I would say we leave the logs as they are if we are going to dump them north of Boyer again, ever again. I can't believe how that was ever allowed to happen, but okay, it did apparently.
Well, shall we look into costs, the extra cost to dump it further, and to take the logs from Calvin Grove Beach as well?
Well, we can direct Nikki to do that. It's going to be hundreds of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah. There is
Maybe
already a
double
budget to dump them at
Probably
Boyer.
double what our budget is now, if we're doing 2 beaches instead of 1.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah,
easy
yeah.
estimate, is whatever our budget is for this now, it would be doubled if we
But
did
to
both
take it to a
beach,
different place,
roughly.
so the distance is the same, so that's not a
The
factor.
That's
distance
something
is
Nikki
similar.
would have to source,
Yeah,
but, I mean,
the distance
if you
is
want to use a rough estimate, if you're doing both beaches, you're doubling your existing budget.
Well, don't forget that the budget also includes putting the log boom out. So it's maybe a third more.
Well, it seems to me that the Calvin Grove Beach's uniqueness differs from the Central Beach in that it's a more natural environment. And so I'm not so sure people over there would really want the logs moved away.
It's a rock beach, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I haven't heard from anybody that they hate the logs on Calvin Grove Beach. The only thing that I am personally worried about is there is one log there, way in the back, that rocks.
Yeah. As you said, that could be trimmed and
Yeah.
stayed.
Okay, so shall we bring that forward as amended? Let's move along on these ones.
So we're bringing forward
B.
that we're going to source, just so I understand, because I'll have to type out the resolution.
We can't just do it on the fly.
I thought we like to have them printed, and I think that's what our procedure bylaw says. that they should
The
be
new one?
printed. No, the old
Oh,
one
the
said
old
it
one,
too.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it makes it easier to read.
shall council direct staff to arrange handling of all logs on main beach as marked by Mayor Burr, that's me, with rejects responsibly disposed of in the public work manager's judgment by April 30th. So just drop and Kelvin Grove.
Okay, they won't be disposed of by April 30th.
Why?
The guys are doing a flushing program and Nikki seconded
Who's the
write the
contractor?
RFP.
Who's a contractor that does it?
Okay, we'll find out. My point is that Nikki's not here to do that and the guys are tied up with flushing.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how the contractor gets flagged. The only sensitive date thing is if they do it right. My understanding, Fred, you guys both know more about this than I do. They should drop it on a spring tide. When's the next spring tide?
Let's see. Yeah, we just had extreme high tides these last few days.
So it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
might be a
that's-
good.
Yeah,
that might be good.
another week past there.
Yeah,
Ish,
yeah.
first week of May. Okay,
Yeah, it's just to manage expectations because Nikki was previously talking about June.
okay.
Summer's half
Well, it's the
over.
high tides, that's the wrong time to do it.
I'll talk to them
Is it?
Yeah, it's a solstice.
in
So we
June.
want the things to go high up
Tides-
on the beach.
Yeah, so they're up, well, okay, then that's too late then,
For this one,
June is
for
too
this
late.
one, yeah.
for the
May
one
is-
that just had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going from 14.8 tides to 2.7 foot in a daily cycle right now. So we've got quite
I don't
a-
even know if the tide's important. It's the wind. You drop them on a lee shore, not on a windward shore. So Boyer, those logs have nowhere to go.
Coming back.
Yeah.
Put Mickey's face on one, it'll be here for,
No, I was given odds of 100 to 1 that it would end up back on Lions Bay Beach. I don't think anybody put any RFID trackers on or anything.
Well, the specification we could make is it goes out in the later afternoon rather than the morning, because you tend to have the infill currents in the morning and then the outfall in the evening.
I would say we just leave that up to Nikki's judgment.
Sure.
I just don't want them dumped at sea anymore. That's craziness. Okay, rock removal at Lions Bay Beach. Similar deal. Do we want the rocks down to the low spring tide line removed? As you may or may not know, there's rocks there that kids trample on, stub their toes. You always see crying children coming out of the sea. It would take a contractor with a bobcat, not a bobcat, a backhoe, 2, 3, 4 hours. What they would do with the rocks otherwise, that's the thing that's going to cost money. I would suggest that we ask Ken if he wouldn't want some more rocks dumped off the end of his breakwater. But that would be for staff to decide.
Well, there's a problem in speaking with Ken on that any time he dumps stuff from land into the ocean, the
And there's
info
probably
gets
also that issue.
excited.
And Nikki expressed some concern on this, that even though it's not an increased level of service to her guys to use a contractor, it should not be coming out of her existing maintenance budget. It's a one-off.
Yeah, why
It's
do
an
I
added
say that?
item.
Okay, well, what we could say is, again, request a staff report.
So
Okay.
currently rock removal is not part of their,
This is why there are quite a few rocks. There's even a big piece of concrete slab down there that to me looks like an old anchor that's somehow come up. It's above the water, it's above the tide line. And I went down there last spring tide, there's a lot of stuff down there. It'd be nice just, it's an amenity. It'd be nice for our people. Okay, parking signage at Lions Bay Beach, Brunswick Beach, Covent Grove, what's this about? Yeah, there was some signage recommendations that the IC made initially as part of the preliminary recs that spoke to formalizing resident parking, visitor parking, no parking, all that kind of stuff. So this was, do we want to ask staff to report at the next council meeting on signage recommendations for the beach in time for summer? Again, with a view to slightly improving our major amenity. Recognizing that the Lions Bay Beach has been discovered in the summer, one of the, as we all know, one of the main bugbears in Lions Bay is parking.
Do we not have a parking committee anymore then?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we did last term.
Well, this might be to then implement some recommendations. It may be a larger report in terms of selling parking tickets. I know the marina is selling some kind of parking decal now, but it's different to the. I mean, maybe it's a larger concern. Maybe we should request a report on parking altogether. For
The
site.
last council resolved to have that done, and then it was tabled to discuss a budget and a timeline for that, recognizing that the level of work involved, the level of staff involvement in doing that, and it's been sitting since then.
What's the staff work involved in that?
Well, we'd have to do the research and write the report.
You don't mean, yeah, but not labour.
No,
There's no
but it's still
enforcement.
probably myself, Andrew, because he's a bylaw officer, Nikki as well, being Public Works. So three of us sit down and do some analysis, make some recommendations to bring forward. It's still time consuming. But the last council did resolve to undertake a parking review.
At the beach specifically?
No, village-wide.
And had there been any proposal?
No, because no budget was set for it. It was, yes, we'd like to do this, and then the election happened and it sat. No
Yeah, but
budget
there's no
was
budget
set.
required for the recommendation.
I'll look at what the resolution was. It had something to do with budget.
Oh, if there was to be a budget item, well, I'm certainly there'd be some signage that will cost money.
Yeah, signage will. And if we're installing meters, it depends what the recommendations are.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this very much more as sort of a Band-Aid stopgap, this year only type of thing. Because I saw fistfights down there. Or lots of shouting anyway.
Is that because people were parking in non?
Yeah. Or didn't know where to park, so they parked anyway. Because it wasn't clear. You know, the resident parking thing should have a picture, resident decal required, a picture of the decal, so you know what a decal is if you don't speak old school French. Visitors this way, get a ticket from that marina. You know, very sort of user-friendly, welcome to Lions Bay, here's how you go about things. Rather than guess and by golly and hope for the best. Nobody's going to get a parking ticket, of course.
So shall we reinstate the committee and maybe they can come forward with some ideas so we don't have to take up as much staff time?
Who was on that committee?
Scott had me down on
I think Joanne too.
that. I believe you right here.
Scott and Joanne. This is a very messy topic where the neighbors are like the Hatfields and the McCoys. One wants parking, the other one doesn't, and the signs say parking and no parking. And then as former Mayor Pollock pointed out last time, his own example of temporary parking but no access to tickets and things like that. It really is a bigger piece. And I'm not sure that the stopgap's going to do as much as you hope versus solid bylaw enforcement as being the, here are the current signs, don't park there, and there's repercussions.
Yeah, I think you're
agree.
probably
I mean,
right. To be honest, I haven't actually looked at the current signage situation other to know that it's not perfect.
I'll pull out the reports that went to the last council and circulate them.
Okay.
Not that my hand is not up. I think that the parking piece related to the beach piece is a historical issue, and as you said, Metro Vancouver's found Lions Bay, and they're here with coolers and virtually tents. And I think that council, it's the wrong time of year to really come up with a good strategy for this. And putting the budget stuff aside, but it would have to be a uniform, you know, Kelvin Grove area, Central, Brunswick, people are parking all over the place, and the bylaw enforcement is a big piece of it. I would actually think that council should concur that we, you know, pick parking month in the winter and really rip this baby apart.
I'm also mindful of Mr. Azagordian who came to us last time, and I don't think, if there's anybody fairly draconian about parking, it's him. I think he was aware of the parking situation down at Kelvin. Maybe just a review of the current signage to remove confusing signs.
Not that the from the mayor's desk takes the hit for the team here, but certainly once a month a paragraph or a couple of sentences of what's cooking on with this, because it's got wide circulation. And, you know, it's hard if you put it out every 3 weeks over the summer, let's call it May 1st to, you know, just after September. And the CAO, I think, is I'm not sure what the technical term is, for the alternate officer to hear the complaints to try and get the thing turned over. It's hard to claim ignorance when you've been written on it 6 times and...
Yeah, it's more than non-residents. I'm on, and I know this is a Pollyanna type of attitude, but I'd rather not have to issue them a ticket because they didn't park there. Because they knew, and they knew where they could park. So that we don't have the protest situation.
Well, and when I did my debrief last summer with, when our bylaw officer concluded his service, the feedback very much was that the signs are there and people are ignoring them. People are parking like idiots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if more signage is going to fix it. And I would hate to bite off hundreds of dollars of signs if the signage isn't the issue.
Yeah, it's more a review because no parking is a bad sign. The right sign is parking this way. And we have a lot of negative signage and not so much positive. Obviously, it's way too late to start converting the CN lot into a paid parking lot. But, okay, well, maybe, you know, it's a situation that seems to me with some clever application of sort of positive wording that we could solve half the problem.
To this, though, I think, Mayor Burr, that we, the council, are going to have to gut up and do a plan here.
It's a bigger project,
that encompasses all sorts of pillars to it, which is preferential parking, the street parking, the CN lot, the school lot, the on and on and on, and stick to it once we've decided to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest perhaps then only that where the resident parking, where it is resident parking only, maybe that sign can just be redesigned, I know even that costs money, to say resident parking only, decal required, and a picture of the decal. But I take your point. People are going to park there anyway.
And I don't think for a minute it's residents.
No,
Yeah.
residents are allowed to park there.
Yeah.
Again, on this, going where you're going here is that you give everybody the triple final warning kind of thing here. If they're going to park their car, most folks are going to know what they're doing. If they're walking through the beach gate, if there was even a temporary sign there to warn them of what's going to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but as Mandy says, issuing a ticket is more costly than not issuing a ticket. Yet we have to have teeth. Maybe we can just tow them direct.
I believe Payless will tow on a call. I don't know that the vehicle has to be ticketed. We'll find out.
Which could be ticketed?
Some service agreements with Payless, they won't tow unless there's actually a ticket on the car. And I can't think what ours is. I think it's just call and report.
I think that's what we told Mr.
Yeah,
Resorg, and that he could phone after 10
We
or
did,
5.
didn't we? Yeah, I think that's fine.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. Does it need a ticket on it first?
Doesn't need a ticket.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the bylaw officer tickets and makes the call at the same time. And the
That's
sign
what he
at the
was
beach
doing.
says...
That's what he was doing last year.
And were they getting towed?
They were. I mean, there's a delay in how quickly Payless can get here.
Well,
But
they
I
need
think
to be
we
here. It's a
towed,
surefire business.
I think we towed 3 vehicles last year. Do you recall?
That's stunningly
It wasn't a
low to
lot,
me.
but it was, yeah.
We're
I'm thinking 3 a day.
Well,
I
but
think
we're
3
also
an
at the
hour.
mercy of Payless demand with all their other stuff and how many trucks they have on, so.
Well, I mean, they make huge money out of towing a car, so I would suspect that if there's business to be had, they do it. Yeah, maybe all the signage required is, we don't even need a council resolution, is you will get towed if you're illegally parked. Promise.
And I think there are Payless signs up to that respect, and
But nobody pays attention.
then why would we put more signs up?
No, this is a real sign. It says in friendly warning, your car may be being towed already if it's in the wrong place.
Mayor Burr, we could have this discussion, continue with this one, or we could do it as a separate item at a time of your convenience. But really, you know, the CAO is pending hiring a bylaw officer. We're going to have the fleet of Payless soldiers at our disposal, and the residents will all be getting the new Lions Bay stickers. And we have you and the electronic press now, which is all 4 of those are very powerful items here. I think that, and I don't want to overstep council's boundary here, but certainly the discussion that either council gives the CAO clear directions, or the CAO and perhaps a council member are part of the bylaw. I don't know whether you have ongoing discussions with him or her, or whoever it might be, but if we're trying to get the message out, and I'm not trying to stomp his style, less talk, more toe, is really where we're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
That's
tone,
what
we would need to set some tone there, you know. I don't want any gotcha towing.
That's not the point
Which
when
there are some
when
communities.
there's a no parking sign right here and your Mini Cooper is right beside it, we got a problem.
I would say that too, you know, there's,
There's currently a policy in place for 3 strikes per tow, it's warning, ticket, tow. So if the council was to move ahead with this, they'd have to rescind the current resolution.
oh, interesting.
But that's,
We didn't
so we're going to
we
find
didn't go with that
non-residence
last year.
vehicles. They type the number into a database.
No, well, we have it as a list, so currently it's if they already have a warning ticket issue, which they can do a search through registration, the next step would be a ticket. That was a council policy from the previous council.
I'm thinking these
Oh,
are one-time
interesting.
Which
visitors.
opens
We haven't been doing
the
that.
closet of warning ticket.
Yeah, warning ticket.
Thank you. So I think Mayor Burr, perhaps you and the CAO can shed some, we can discuss further, but I have a very militant tone on this piece.
Well, I'm hearing it's a bigger piece, so maybe we defer this one.
Perhaps instead of completely deferring it, maybe we can talk to the tow company, because I know.
Okay, so
So perhaps for this summer, look into, you know, erecting some towing signs, because those are, I would think they're quite effective.
The
And then
towing signs
actually-
are up.
Are they
The
down
Payless
at the
signs are up,
beach?
yeah.
They've been up for years. It's pretty clearly
Yeah,
marked.
and they put some extra, they put
I-
some
I
new
don't
ones
know.
They
up.
should be yellow.
well,
They
exactly,
put some
they're
new
blue and
ones up
white.
last year. Payless came and put them up, so they didn't cost us anything.
I can't say I've seen them at the beach.
Yeah, I can't say I've
There's
seen
one
them.
as you just go under the underpass and down Isleview, but
Maybe
Okay.
make them more prominent, and then have them maybe tow truck come in.
I'm just hearing that people are parking all over the place.
Yeah.
I won't solve it. I walk. That's not true. Okay, so we won't bring that one forward. Fred?
If I could just mention, I know this is a bit of an aside, but we're talking about signage in the parks and stuff like that, and there's one that's been an irritant for the longest time, and there's these 2 blue signs to do with kayakers. I don't know if this is kosher putting it under this topic, but if, from memory, they say kayakers must launch within the logged area, but then it says they
Kayaks
must.
prohibited in the locked area. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Well, can we just have the signs removed?
To be
It makes us-
perfectly frank, I've been driving around with a Sharpie, a fat Sharpie in my car for about a week. I just haven't got to it yet.
Oh, well.
Oh, did I say that?
I mean, I'd be willing to go down there with a ratchet and remove them both, but
Yeah.
somehow they gotta go.
Where are they?
Right at the,
Right by the
at the
storage
kayak
area.
But where are they supposed to launch?
Nobody knows.
Well, the only way to launch is inside the logged area
It's
because.
it's
next
either
to it-
marina or private.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the only place they can go, so I don't know who's.
So they just need to be removed.
Well,
Is that-
there's a
okay.
bigger signage piece that is kind of with Nikki now, but I think she's got too much to do. That the infrastructure committee addressed a long time ago. Okay, we'll leave that one for now. Here's the next one.
Mayor, on the, up to F here, which we're about to go to, but these items are largely Central Beach related, could be spun to Kelvin. Again, as with kind of doing a decision on parking, I would think perhaps council may want to really review what we want to do for central beautification with the 2016 budget. I mean, in terms of...
Signage may be part of it. Yeah.
And I'm actually thinking the signage is part of it. I get your point about the rocks. I haven't been there to Central when it was laid out. The Easter egg hunt, but I wasn't looking at the stuff. So if logs need to be removed, agree on the Boyer Island, that's just bad. But the logs could actually potentially be repurposed as a fundraiser. Line space full of little woodchucks with wood stoves.
Well, you can't burn saltwood
Not with
logs.
salt.
No? So, all right, or they could be hauled away, who knows? But key piece here is that we should perhaps be thinking of an overall beach beautification and strategy for this. And
You may
actually,
recall that discussion about.
For next
well,
year.
and actually, and it was declined, it died on the budget table for this year, but I mean, if we get early on it now, then if we've got an early suggestion for the fall, we can get people designing and putting tenders out.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring it up again. So,
Okay.
okay, we'll leave that one for now. Let's move ahead. How are we on time? Man. So E, this was a recommendation coming out of the Infrastructure Committee. I'll talk to Fred just as well. Saving you the technical details, we, the Infrastructure Committee, would like as soon as possible to be logging the levels in the reservoirs on a fairly frequent frequency, secondly, minutely, in order to start modeling the demand curve to try and understand both the when to establish different conservation levels and predict water supply. So this would come out of the water contingency budget. I don't know what it would cost. I could hazard a guess that this would be sort of a fairly simplistic data log that would go onto the signal coming out of the level detectors that exist. We're talking 10, 12, 13, $14,000. The budget has been passed by council for this, so this was just a specific that the IC asked to come forward to council. Is that a fair representation?
Fairly well. That's why we've got the...
Okay, so this was the recommendation that I think there was a bit of crosswise. I thought I was doing the recommendation. This is a better recommendation than mine because there it is there. So this is Greg Garland and Fred put this together, correct?
Mostly, yeah.
That gives you the background. So you've just had this, so it's a bit much to absorb right now.
Yeah, I think one of the comments Nikki made at the last IC meeting was that they send works crews up there on a daily basis anyhow. So we don't have to put in fancy radio equipment or anything at this stage. We can get some data tracking going on as they go up daily and make notes of what they find. But there is some hardware that would make things better, which Nikki could probably address better than we could. And as the mayor points out, we do have a water contingency budget that we were thinking from the IC's point of view that's what it could be drawn from.
And or the SCADA budget, because this is to
That's
do
what I
with
was
the SCADA.
thinking, yeah.
For all I know, there'd be much less. It'd be fairly simplistic, so what would have to happen is that somebody would have to visit the plant daily, both plants, plug the laptop in, or maybe it's just a stick, I don't know, download the data, and then upload it to various people who need to see it. What the granularity would be, I don't know, but Nikki can do the research. I imagine most of these data loggers will probably take a reading every second, so there's probably more data than we need. But the idea is that we need pretty good granularity so that we can start modeling the demand curve. The idea is that the IC has decided that the best way to determine what the demand curve is to actually measure drawdown in the reservoirs and recovery. So, the point is, once your reservoir reaches full, you're starting again, because it's as full as it can get. You have to see how long it takes to come full. Right now, what happens is filling it pretty much instantaneously over the day. As the creek flow gets less, it maybe takes 3 or 4 hours overnight to fill. At a certain point, it won't fill in a 24-hour cycle, and that's when we're in trouble. So we need to start modeling that. And the sooner we can do it, the better, because we have to understand what the creek flow regime is in terms of drawdown in the reservoir. So that's all that's about. There's some technical details there. Anything more that we need to say about that?
Is this getting referred up tonight? Is that the intention?
I think that was the hope, yeah.
Does the April 30th date work?
That may be a bit...
I think that's a little bit
but as I say,
aggressive, but we'll shoot for it.
yeah, every day that's going by is lost data, and it's important to know what the recovery rate is. This is Fred's brilliant idea, by the way, the recovery rate parameter.
I think the point was to find out what normal is, and once we can establish normal at normal times, then when we see an abnormal recovery rate coming, we know that it's time to notch up our conservation rate.
That's exactly right. We have to know what abnormal is. I'll also point out to you, it's just a technical, interesting point. If the creek here is flowing in Harvey, it means that we have enough water, because it means that we're not using all of it up above at the intake. this creek will flow intermittently as we start using and not using water going into the plant. We're lacking data. What we really would like to know is what's the creek flow, but putting in creek flow metering is beyond the scope of what we can do this year. That's expensive. Okay, so let's take that one up. Last thing, and I'll stop talking for a while. Outdoor water use bylaw. The issue here is that time is of the essence. Do we want to waive?
And I've added a note here, there's no requirement that all policies will go, and bylaws will go to that committee. They can, but council has sole discretion as to what gets referred down there. It's in their terms of reference, so if you opt not to, then...
So this one is to do exactly that. Let's bypass, my proposition is let's bypass the Policy and Bylaw Review Committee review and go straight to council. The draft bylaw is pretty good already, right?
It is, yeah.
The only concern I would have is if there's somebody on the bylaw committee that would have the expertise to see if there's any holes in it. Because if we're going to put it out, we don't want to be too hasty and have some...
I agree. The problem is the bylaw committee meets a month yesterday.
They've got electronic access. That's where I was going with Councillor Bain. They can have their...
Yeah, but they can't have a meeting.
You can't have a meeting, that's the issue.
The next meeting is a month from yesterday.
They
It's
can have
more,
a
5 weeks, because it's a
Oh, that's
holiday.
right,
Yeah,
it's
it's actually
holidays.
longer,
So
yeah.
it's not enough time.
Can they not have a special meeting?
What we could do is do first reading, then refer it down to the, we won't adopt it by the Bylaw and Policy Committee's next meeting. We could do first and second reading.
Can't we just get their comments?
Yeah, we can.
But they have to meet.
But they have to meet in order for their comments to be valid.
So I guess this is what I'm asking. Given that it's 5 weeks from today, and I would like the thing to be operational in 5 weeks' time, can we do that?
I think that's aggressive, but by June we could. So my suggestion would be that it comes forward on May 5th for first and second reading, and then gets referred down to them. Then there's still time for any changes before third.
Fine. Okay, let's cross this bridge when we get there. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay. Thank you for your indulgence there. We'll move on to G, which is best model. What to do with the bear?
Yes, where do you want it?
Yes, currently the bear is sitting in near the
At the store?
at the store, and supposedly it's only a temporary sitting place. So I think the recommendation was that it would be moved to somewhere out there near the village office. And
Yeah, we were waiting for the walkway to be done and then have a discussion about where it ought to go.
can we
We'll
just,
take your recommendation. The only thing I will point out is the kids, and there's anything happening there, the kids run riot out
we don't
there.
want kids climbing on it.
Yeah.
I think unless we put it back on the on the embankment, it'll get climbed on.
Next
Or
to the
was it
sign.
before?
It wasn't anywhere, so it's okay down this time, since we got it, we were waiting for the...
Can it be next to our round sign?
I think that's a good sort of trophy cabinet area.
We'll have to, yeah, I'll look at what we have to do to secure it there. Sure it
How's
doesn't
it mounted now?
fall on anyone. It's got a base.
It's
and
got a big base
sits.
on it.
Yeah, so we have to
Freestanding base.
flatten it out, make sure it can't tip.
And there's a plaque involved as well, so but that could go on the wall below.
Yeah, I guess it could. It's a rock wall. Could we just bolt it in there? I don't know.
So we can cork. Solves a lot of problems.
Should we consult with the bear, the remainders of what used to be the bear committee and the arts committee to see?
I was going to talk to Norma about that, where she would like to see it happen, but
Actually, they've told me that I've heard back from Norma, Brigida, and maybe Ruth to say that yes, they want it brought back here. Just because this was the original place where it should be.
Yeah.
it's a prideful thing. I think it's a pretty nice looking.
Remember, I'm happy to see that this isn't an action item and leave it with staff and
We'll look at it. Figure
And
out where it should go. We'll look
the
there
others.
first to make sure it can go there.
Well, I think we've sort of communicated the community's desires, but okay, that sounds fine. Okay, good. We'll move on. May 1st Flower Pot Day.
Yes, a resident came up to me and asked if council would help promote May 1st being Lions Bay Flower Pot Day. Apparently, it's been historically done. I
Put a
didn't-
pot in your
Yeah,
driveway?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what we need to do, except I put together a little flyer.
You're hired.
I know. So we could
Yeah.
just post these up and, you know,
Do you have an electronic copy?
yes.
Okay, do you want to send it to me? And we'll put it in the e-post and we'll put it on the
So are
website.
we okay with,
Is it a resolution? Endorsement?
I don't
An
think so. I
endorsement?
think
I'm going to cover it in my topic as well. Could you send that to me too? And the Art in the Garden
we've
does the
endorsed
same
it with
thing.
our logo. Our I Love Lions Bay logo.
Yeah, there's no cost involved. I mean, if you want a resolution of support, you can do it, but other
No,
than
there's-
that, I don't see why we
there's
wouldn't,
no
if we've done it in the
cost.
past.
Well, we're making a resolution to support Green Ribbon Day or something.
But you're also making a proclamation.
That's the word I was actually looking for. Can't we make a proclamation?
Sure. Do you want to make it in your next?
As long as I don't have to wear a wig and silver buckled shoes and ring a bell. Sure.
No, in one of your
Oh,
e-posts.
but yeah, that's just a communications thing.
Yeah. An official.
You copyrighted the I Heart Lions Bay?
No, not yet.
TM. R. Okay, so we don't need to do anything about that? Everybody's happy about that? Do we need to take it up to the
I
meeting?
don't think so. Would you
Okay.
like to?
You tell me.
You know what, it might be beneficial for anybody at tonight's meeting to just
Just read it into
put
the
it out
minutes.
there. Yeah, why not?
Okay, good one. Can I see that? Ocean View beautification, Ron?
Thank you,
Did you
Mayor
see
Burke.
that?
And I guess we've talked on a couple of the items here with the third-party contractors. Again, it's not envisaged that we would use any village resources. That said, it may come forward at the next meeting for a tiny, tiny budget for something, I'm not sure what yet, but it would be small. I guess as a heads up for these things, and just listening, Mayor Burke, congratulations on the work that you've done in the field, and Councillor Watterson for all that you do in gathering groups. Certainly, I find it fascinating where I've gone to, I think, 7 community captains, each with 7 residents. And the quick skinny on the beautification is that it's mixed at best. And folks are happy with their place the way they are, or they are not happy with their neighbors. Very interesting. And so I think this is the week that we're actually going to flesh out the execution part. So I think for next council, I'd be able to give hard numbers with how many participants are actually going to start at A and finish at B, and mow and clean and leaf blow and do cutting and stuff like that. But I think to the whole piece here, it's just organization is the key deal, and leaving lots of time to get to there.
Well, that speaks very well to the village cleanup volunteer day thing as well, so that's good. We'll learn from your mistakes.
So
Painfully so.
when is this
Oh,
proposed?
May 23rd.
May 23rd.
It's a hard date now. Well, I said some of the results were mediocre. The captains demonstrated monstrous Lions Bay pride and care of community. I would be happy to send you some of the flyers that they sent me that they distributed door to door that are very good and can be repurposed.
Are you going up to and including tree felling and chipping curbside and all that stuff?
The piece here is that we will have a contractor in hand and their workers. So the plan would be is that they'll start at whatever the bylaw allows, let's say 8 o'clock for the sake of argument. And oddly enough, I know the work they're going to start up is by my place up at towards the gate in that area. So the view would be that they will then take the vehicles down to the end of Highview. So depending on what the resident participation is, they'll be done by noon and they'll be done by 4. And literally, the benefit for the village is that if you've got slash and brush that's in your yard that you've got no way of getting rid of, it goes into the hog. So
Are they going to need to dump chips once or twice?
the issue about what to do with the chips is one of the things to be explored. The Trailblazers want chips. They can be put to a site. I don't know that the Works Department, I haven't tightened the circle with the Works Department whether they desire chips. I don't know. Or some of the residents love having chips blown on their property. It's in the logistics right now.
That's great. Thanks. Jay, Facebook page.
Yes, I just wanted to report to council that we now have a Lions Bay youth Facebook page set up by a group of youths, actually the ones that were volunteering at the grand opening. So they started a page, and we're hoping to promote it.
You're going to ask me if I wrote that letter yet?
I
aren't you?
was just thinking, did
Yes.
you write the letters?
Letter to the youth of today. Okay.
And then the Lions Bay Events Committee have set up a Lions Bay Community Happenings page. So to post and promote future events and to recognize events that have passed.
Did you want those two things in the e-post? Seems
I
to me
put-
those are interesting.
Yeah.
Seems to me that it should almost go in our footer as our email signature.
See, I would disagree because we're not maintaining any
Yeah,
of the
it's not so-
contacts.
Oh, that's
in case,
true.
Yeah.
in case someone puts
Yeah.
something.
The
Yeah.
reason I say it is because I sit in these metro meetings or mayor's council like was today, and everybody's talking about they're watching their Twitter blogosphere. They seem to know what's going on in the community by some report that comes out of some miraculous cloud service, official. But White Rock seems to know what's happening in White Rock before they know because they're watching it on Twitter.
Yeah, so they probably have a communications person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could discern any trends in Lions Bay through Twitter. So yeah, you're right. It's not a sanctioned thing.
No, but I think we could say the events committee has created a Facebook page. Or local youth have created a Facebook page.
So we did it
and
actually
leave
in
at
the
that.
last e-post. We
Oh, okay.
mentioned that the youth's page is up and running. So in this current, then the next e-post coming up, we can mention the Lions Bay.
Community happenings.
Yeah.
Great.
Community habit. I forget what I don't know what it is. WW. I don't know. What
Will you
it
send
is.
that link to Shauna?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, all it takes is for somebody to like it once, and then they're in the circle.
I've
So
invited you to like it.
as you may have noticed, I'm not a big Facebook person. I think
Yes.
Great.
I get the events committee putting up one, but what's the youth? Are they an organized group? Are they a committee or are they a club? Or who are they?
I'm hoping to get them organized. Right now, I'm slowly integrating them in, luring them in. So, no, they're not a group. It's just, I guess it's a social thing, you know, a group of them.
It's kids who take the bus in the morning.
Get together and say, hey, let's post some stuff. Let's set up a page and post some stuff about what's happening around town that may be of interest to them.
Yeah, I'm all for people using Lions Bay as a hit brand. We don't get too involved, otherwise it will become unhip again. But
Yeah. Yeah, I like the youth page, and I unlike myself because I'm thinking, well, that would be not cool. To have a mom liking it.
Can we do something to recognize them? I mean, it's coming out of nowhere. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think eventually, when we get them as an official group, now they're a little bit hesitant to come out. They're okay to work behind the scenes.
Like every good hacker.
What if we facilitated what if the upstairs room was available to them at a time every week to just, come hang out, brainstorm ideas, like kind of the building block to a youth program?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
trying to get them
not
to
that
do
I want
that.
to take on more
Yeah.
programs at the moment,
No,
but,
exactly. That's
but
a
I
cool-
think
No.
if we had open space for them, an hour a week to facilitate that process, it might grow on its
I
own.
think they don't even want to be called. They don't want to be part of a group. But I might, for example, with the photo competition, they might help run it, or at least from the teenager angle. So
Right.
then perhaps then later on they become a group without even knowing it.
there's a teenage room at West Van Library that is actually quite cool, and you have to be a certain age to go in, and adults are not allowed in there. I think it's even got the blinds are up, but we can't do that because we don't have a permanent space.
Because I do keep on asking them if they want to form a youth committee, and nobody says yes.
So probably have one already and you don't know about
I
it.
know, but they don't want anything that we ask them to do.
No, exactly, quite right.
Well, it seems to me young people nowadays don't need four walls to be doing something. They can sit at their computers with their headphones on and they're having their social interaction that you're completely unaware of. So they don't need a space necessarily, but it might be nice to draw them out.
Yes, yeah.
To get them involved without them knowing they're being involved.
Yes.
Okay, good. So no action required there. But it's good to know that these things are happening. Thank you. So we will move on to public questions and comments.
That's the best kind of public.
And adjournment. So see you at 7.